All right, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, once again from the flight deck. Thank you very much, Steam Remote, for telling me that my other computer is available. Always does it at the worst possible moments. Welcome, everybody, back to the flight deck. It's been a little while, and we are back in the flight deck with Captain Nabs. And I'm just looking at the screen here, and I'm noticing that it looks kind of a little bit washed out. And I realize that I most likely left... no, not that. Sorry, stand by. I most likely left my... gamma correction on from the previous flight. There you go. That's more the pure color that Microsoft Flight Simulator intended. So yeah, because our last flight was out of Chicago, and it was a little bit late in the evening anyway, so we had to use some gamma correction just to see what was going on. But anyways, welcome back into the flight deck once again. It's been about 2 weeks since we did a last stream, so it's kind of nice to be back again. It just all sorts of stuff going on. It's a busy time of year. June always is, and July kind of is going to be quite busy this year as well. So it's not going to be something that I'm going to be able to stream every single week. I would like to, but it's just not going to happen. As always, though, you get friendly little me in the corner there. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so like I said, it's been about 2 weeks since we did the last stream. I feel really kind of out of it. I really have not done much flying in the sim at all in that 2-week duration, so I feel a little bit out of it, but let's hop back into it. Let's see if we can do the best we can do to get this flight underway. Today's flight, morning Squibbly, nice to see you there. Today's flight is going to be from Charlottesville, which is in Virginia, I believe. I looked this up, and I believe it wasn't West Virginia, it was actually Virginia. And we're going back to our hub of Chicago O'Hare. We're only going to do the one leg today. It's about an hour-and-a-half leg. It's a good enough long leg, and it's going to be a hectic day for me, so I got other things I've got to do as well. So this is all we're going to have time for today, but we will try and get this done. And Squibbly's got the weather. You are an excellent stream partner there. You've always got the information I need right in front of me. So one thing I did not do yet, and I'm going to do it right now, give me 1 second, is that I'm going to connect to the VATSIM network. Okay. So let's just check and make sure it's got my flight plan. Nope, my flight plan was not showing as filed for some reason, so let's just quickly file it and reconnect and check it out. There it is. Okay, good, perfect. So hopefully now, Squibbly, I will see you here somewhere. Let's see here. If I switch to... I'm going to have to do this, I think. Hold on. There we go. I think the problem is that my track IR has reset itself to some sort of a weird angle. Oh, that must be you right next to me, though. Let me just do this, and then we'll get this more organized here. Give me 1 second. Put on my super attractive hat. There we go. Alright, so that must be you right next to us there. At your usual 320, but Microsoft Flight Simulator is doing its usual bang-up job. But one day we will get some good representation of other aircraft in this sim. For now, it's not the best. Oh, orangey. The other thing, of course, too, and I'll just mention this right now, is that I have a little bit of a sore back. I don't know what I did to it yesterday, but I got a little bit of a sore back. So if you see me wince once in a while as I try and set myself up with some normal view angles here, then just please don't mind it. It's been a little bit sore for about a day or so. And let me just do one thing here, because it's bugging me a little bit, is that there we go, that screen needs a little bit of adjustment there. Still does, but it'll do. Anywho, yeah, so let's go back to just quickly having a look here. This is Charlottesville, Chicago. That's our sim. That's our Pilot's Life. And for those of you who are fans of a Pilot's Life or just want to give it a try, it's on sale right now on Sim Market. I believe it is 50% off. So if you have thought about trying it and we're on the fence, now's as good a time as any because it's 50% off on Sim Market. So I wanted to make sure I got that out there because a Pilot's Life has been great for me. The developer's been responsive to a couple of things I've talked to them about. So please give them a try. I think it's definitely the best. I don't even know what it is now. I think it's normally like 20 euros, and now it's probably like 10. I'd have to look it up. Now I'm gonna look it up. Let's just really quickly find it here, but it's on sale for 2 weeks. It's sorry, it's only 30% off, so it's gone from 17 euros to about 12 euros. So it's still, I think it's totally worth it for that price. I absolutely believe it's worth it. So go ahead and give it a try. My bank account was credited. I got $84 for flying and $100 from other sources. So now I'm going to become rich. Look at me, $322. Neat. Yeah. So what am I doing here? Current flight is what I want, not job market. So current flight. So that's what we're doing today. We're on our way from Charlottesville to Chicago. Well, let's get this underway because I don't want this to be too long of a stream today. I've got other stuff I've got to do. So we will hop in the airplane and start getting this thing set up here if I can remember. Wow, I just feel completely out of touch with my sim here. So let's get some stuff going on here, first of all. So just for planning purposes, the target departure time is quarter to 11. So at 10:45 is the planned off gate time. I'm hoping we're going to be off the gate before that. So let's put on some ground power. The chocks are in place. Let's open up the door. I don't know how we got in without the door being open. Let's open up the cargo door. And it's warm these days. So let's get some air going here. And it says it's connected, but probably because I don't have the battery on, it's not showing any status yet. So, quick little safety flow through the flight deck just to make sure everything's in the right position. So we got the battery master is off, the hydraulic pumps are all off, the landing gear is down, the spoilers are stowed, the thrust levers are at cut off, the flaps are up, and the air drive generator is stowed, the emergency flap switch is normal, the parking brake is set. We can go ahead and turn on the battery. Yeah, there we go. We just need battery power. In some aircraft, if the GPU is on, this light will light up even if the battery is not on. This light is directly connected to the GPU power and will light up even without battery power. I guess the CRJ700 is not one of those airplanes. We can go ahead and put that on. Let's get the nav light going here. All of our hydraulic pumps should be in the auto on position when we start up. I'm going to go ahead and turn the recirc fan on now just because I like to have some cool air. I think it's a warm day out there. And the other thing we need to do, of course, is get the IRSs aligning. And there we go. Now they're underway. Hoping, man. I hope so. My plan is not to push back. My plan is that this is going to be a gate departure because that was what you would kind of normally do at an airport like this. I see there is one bridge. I don't even know if that exists in real life. Maybe it does, but I imagine most of the time a CRJ pulls up here, they just use the non-bridge non-bridge method of just taxi on, taxi off, open the door and let the people out. So let's get this underway here with what am I trying to do here? I just need my tablet. So stand by 1 second while I grab my tablet. Alright, my apologies everyone. I am obviously not as prepared as I thought I was. I kind of thought I had everything, and then I realized as I started the stream that I don't have the tablet because I want to get stuff done in the FMS. So let me just pull up my FMS really quickly here. And that's what I'm looking for. Alright. Because I find it's just so much easier to use a tablet. That being said, of course, straining my back to reach even in slightly in the wrong direction here. Alright, and one other thing I'm going to do with Pushback Express really quickly is we're going to call for, let's see here, we're going to call for the fuel truck, and we're going to call for the baggage. Alright, and we'll get this show underway. So we're looking at Let's see here. First of all, let's just make sure we got the right active database. 17th of June to 5th of July. So this is good for about another 2 days. Good, got it just in time. Alright. So position init, we have to go to the next page, and then we can grab the GPS position, 1 or 2, doesn't matter which. They should basically agree with each other. And then we can go ahead and set our position that way. Flight plan page, and we go into, let's see here, we are KCHO. And we're going to KORD. I didn't even check to see if there's any ATC online. There is Atlanta Center. I think we're in Washington Center's airspace, but we'll check it out in a minute here. And let's just go ahead and pull up the flight plan here. Give me 1 second. Pulling up the flight plan. We're going to just see if see what our alternate is. It likes to always give me Detroit as an alternate. It did, which gives me lots of extra fuel. And the nice thing about that, it's funny, there's lots of little tricks dispatchers use to sneak extra fuel onto your flights. And it's weird that they have to do that, but dispatcher performance is often monitored in terms of how often do they assign extra fuel to a flight. And it's not that anyone says that you can't have extra fuel if you need it, but on a general basis, like if you're always giving people 1,000 extra pounds of fuel, that's going to add up to the company over time, especially if it's not necessary. If you're going to places where the weather is good, there's not much traffic, you don't always need 1,000 pounds of extra fuel. So dispatchers are monitored to a certain degree, and how much fuel they assign to extra flights on average as extra is monitored. But that being said, these dispatchers have ways of sneaking extra fuel on there, giving you a farther alternate than you need. It doesn't show up as extra fuel because the alternate fuel is required, so it doesn't show up as extra fuel against the dispatcher, but it puts extra fuel in your tank than if they had a closer alternate. Even just assigning through flight planning, assigning the runway that's on the far side of the airport, that can add an extra 5 to 10 minutes of flying time. That could be a way of sneaking an extra 5 to 10 minutes of fuel in there, even though they know you're going to have the straight in runway because of the winds. They put in the wrong runway just to give you extra fuel. So there's neat little tricks dispatchers will do to help out the crews and make sure they get a little bit of extra fuel without necessarily getting themselves in trouble. Alright, we need to, this is going to be horrible for me to try and do, is try and reach around back here and see if I can get this on here. And there we go, we got that on. Just looking over here at the other screen for a second. Actually, why don't I just do this? Why don't I just move over here as best we can see, and then I can pause it. I like the fact that pausing track IR lets me look at this normally now. Okay, so we need about 11.5, so we got to just go ahead and increase this at least over 11.5, and we usually get it just a couple hundred because the fueler never wants to have to come back, so they'll always go a little bit over just to make sure you've got the fuel you need. Then I turn the system on, and you can see the valves open and the fuel is increasing. All right, perfect. Let's see what else we got going on here. Alright, so back into the FMS now that the fuel truck is doing his thing. Alright, and this routing's a little bit more complicated today. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Alright, so I should actually put the flight number in here. It's SkyWest 3110. Oops. Not quite spelling it correctly there. SkyWest 3110. There we go. Alright, so we need to go to Elkin. Actually, I think what I need to do is I need to put a departure in here. Let's see here. Squibbly, you had the weather. I already looked past it. 290 at 6. So doesn't really matter. It's probably 300 magnetic, which means we're pretty much splitting the difference. So yeah, I'm just going to go with 03. Kind of splitting the difference here, but I think it's a prettier direction to take off in, so what the hell, let's do 03. So runway 03, there we go. Now we can do Elkins, EKN, Jeffs with a G, Jet 149 to Fort Wayne, and then from Fort Wayne we do the Watson 4 arrival, And it says 28 right. In reality, we'd almost always land on the center runway. So we're going to do departure again, arrival in Chicago. And we're going to say, there's the Watson 4, Fort Wayne transition. And we're going to do the ILS to 28 center is what I'm planning here via Vogler. Alright, and if I go to flight plan, that should all be in there. And there is a discontinuity. Let's just see if we can resolve the discontinuity here. There's two Fort Waynes, that's why. So put that Fort Wayne up there. That gets rid of the discontinuity. We can execute the whole thing. Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, 28 center. Yeah, exactly. Normally, 28 center, especially if you're coming from anywhere from like the south direction, 28 center is the arrival runway in Chicago. 28 left if you're really coming far south and if they're really kind of swamped, but they try to avoid using 28 left. And I think right now 28 left has airplanes parked on it still, although that could be wrong now. The pandemic's pretty much been over in America as far as the airlines are concerned for a while now. United is hiring 40 new pilots a week, not recalling people, hiring 40 new pilots a week for the month of June, and it's going up to 48 I think in July per week. Per week? I think still about 40% of pilots in Canada are laid off, maybe more. I don't know the exact number, but something in that realm is still 40% or more are still laid off, and yet here we are in America, and they're going gangbusters. Can't hire enough people to fill the planes again now. Okay. Anyways, let's not talk about that right now because that'll just get me sad and disappointed and frustrated. So let's just go flying and have some fun. Flight level 360 for the altitude today. Alternate cruise altitude is down here, and it's going to be flight level 390 to get to Detroit, which is an even longer flight, but it wants me to go higher for some reason. Alright, and then the passenger weight and everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down my tablet for a second, scroll down through my flight plan here to find my 66 passengers that is planned, and let's go ahead and put in the performance here. So there we go. Let's init fuel from aircraft. We got the 11782. Perfect. Set payload and simulator. Copy perf data to the FMS. And while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and set all my V speeds as well because it's just tedious spinning those bloody knobs. It really is. You do it in the real life, and in real life, actually turning a knob is easier than trying to use the scroll wheel on a mouse. You can actually do it a little faster. Just using the mouse is such an awkward input device for doing these things. It's kind of realistic, but awkward as anything. Alright, one thing I realized we did not do before we started boarding passengers was we did not test the emergency lights, so we're just going to check those. Emergency is on, and we should have an emergency light in the flight deck. I don't think we do. And then we go to ARM. And then seatbelt sign should be on, and since the fuel truck I believe is gone, let's just, before I forget actually, let's just shut down the fueling panel here. And then we can go ahead and put the fasten seatbelt sign on. On is up. Wow, I haven't been in this airplane for a while. Can you tell? For a little while there I was flying it like three or four times a week, and now it's been just a little while since I flew it last. So, alright, let's see, we got the FMS all set up pretty much here. Actually, no, that's not true. We still have a couple more pages to go here. So let's just get that last couple pages of FMS setup done. So that's page 1, page 2, ISO deviation and average cruise wind, just to make sure our calculations are somewhat reasonable. So we're looking at an ISO of +8, no heat dome here I guess, and winds of 005 at 51. I think I can do just 5 at 51. And yeah, it knows. Okay, perfect. And ETD, we're going to say it's going to be 14:45. Hopefully it'll be, we'll leave a couple minutes early. I always like to leave a couple minutes early. Alright, VNAV setup. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the cruise profile because it always seems to, SimBrief seems to plan me at cruising at Mach 0.77. So we're going to set that up as our cruise profile. Execute all that, and I don't think I put a flex temperature on there. We'll put a flex temperature of 46. Not because I know anything about what appropriate flex temp is in this aircraft, but it was suggested in one of the original videos, tutorial videos that Aerosoft had posted. So I've been using that ever since, and it seems to work okay. The airplane seems to have quite a lot of juice, quite a lot of get up and go when it needs it. So, all right, I think that's it for the FMS as far as I recall, so let's hop into the overhead panel and do a quick scan, make sure everything's in the correct position. So we do have the batteries on, the AC power is on, the IDG lights are, the IGG switch lights are out, transfer is off, the generators are all in the auto position, and the auto transfers are all set. Fire detection monitor should get 3 red, 3 green lights. We do. The hydraulic shutoffs are out. External lights, all we have right now is the nav light, and that's all we need. Fuel pumps are in off. The cross feeds are closed. And let's see here. Bleed air is normal. Bleed valves are in the auto position, so we don't need the isolation valve. That's closed. Both engines are the source right now. We can go ahead and start the APU since we're starting to approach departure time. How are we doing here? We got about 15 minutes.
Charlottesville traffic, Delta 222, commencing push and start, face south, Charlottesville traffic.
Alright, we're getting the APU started here. Let's see here, left and right engines, start buttons are all out, the continuous ignition button's out. Let's turn on all the hydraulic pumps for the test here. So 1, 3B, and 2, and quick check, everybody's generating 3000 PSI, I like it. Everybody goes to auto, and all the pressures fall. We can put 3A back in on, and that should get it back up to, oops, somehow it didn't stay there, 3000 PSI. Perfect. Cabin pressure, so for Chicago, first let's just get stat, pull that out, and we need, I believe, 560. There we go, 560. We can always adjust it a little more en route if we have to. Otherwise, we're in hold, emergency depress not out. Everything is normal. We can turn the packs on. The APU has started, so they should be on. We don't need the ram air. We don't need manual pack control. We don't need conditioned air in the cargo compartment. We do need to make sure the windshield heats are on low, so they're heating up already. And we can test the anti-ice. And ADS heat test, okay, there it is. Oops, no, stop flicking you. Alright, miscellaneous lights we don't need. We've got the seat belts on, we've got the emergency lights armed, that's all good down there. Alright, coming down to the lower panel. Nose wheel steering's off for now, and I'll set an altitude in a minute here. Speeds are already all set. The altimeter, again, you posted it here, it was 3006. I look forward to having some FS2 crew to help take the load off here. 3006, and we need it on the backup as well. Alright. No, what? What happened? What happened? Did you crash? Oh no! What? That's KORD? Oh!
2988, Rob.
Oh, yeah, I see that now. I see that. You posted both of them in the same message. I was just sort of, I didn't see the break there, so appreciate it. Alright, so 2988. Hopefully I would have noticed that eventually when the elevation did not look right. Alright, let's see here. Hold for 5 seconds to test. There we go. Alright, we're also going to go ahead and get up the go-around bars. There we go. And passenger doors, left and right engine oil, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to set up the guidance panel in just 1 minute. We'll just finish flowing through the center pedestal. We'll make sure the guidance panel is set up. So anti-skid off, we should get errors. When we turn it on, it takes about 2 seconds to run the test and it's good.
Gear bay overheat.
Alright, that obviously works. And the failure test also works. Engine sync on N1, lamp test. It's been a while since I did this, but this is... Bombardier likes to put lamps in airplanes. I think they get paid by the light bulb, because boy, they like to put it. It's not that bad in this airplane. The Dash 8 is ridiculous when you turn on that test switch. It's worse than the 737, I think. Alright, indicator lights bright for the daytime, ground procs, all those are not pushed in. Our disconnects are obviously pushed in. Our thrust reversers are disarmed right now, but our ground spoilers are armed. Spoilers closed, ignition levers are cut off, and the flaps are up. We've got Unicom is already up. I heard you talking, which is great. I'm just going to just quickly adjust the TCAS to be relative because, like I said, I don't know why absolute is the default. I've never met a company that liked absolute. Everybody likes relative altitudes. Stab trim, mock trim, yaw damper. Should also test the trims. And what I'll do for this, have this here so I can look at while I'm testing it. There we go. Alright, the trims are tested, and everybody else seems pretty happy. Okay, perfect. Give me a second here. Alright, I think that we are just about ready. We just need a guidance panel. Now, I haven't even pulled up the charts yet, honestly. Wow. I'm out of practice on this whole live streaming thing here, aren't I? It's funny how just a short period of time with not doing it really kind of puts you out of the loop. But I apologize that 2 weeks ago we also didn't do the stream. I guess it's been 3 weeks. Because 2 weeks ago I did a double ATC stream. That's right. I apologize. Yeah, I didn't, even 2 weeks ago I didn't do a stream. Alright, so takeoff and obstacle clearance procedures, runway 3. I need to climb 342 feet per nautical mile to 1,500 feet. That should be not a problem. If we're moving at 180 knots, that still is 3 miles per minute. So that's only 900, 1,000, less than 1,100 feet per minute. So I think we can make that. Then we can depart with a quarter mile. Obstacle departure runway 3. Climb on heading 030 to 1500, then climbing right turn direct the Gainesville VOR before proceeding on course. For climb and visual conditions, cross Charlottesville Evermale Airport at or above 700, then proceed direct to Gainesville VOR before proceeding on course. When executing VCOA, notify ATC prior to departure. Climb on heading 2102. So we're supposed to turn towards Gainesville after departure. With the visual conditions, as long as we can see those mountains out there, I'm not going to worry too much about turning towards Gainesville. I might just put it in there just to have it. You know what? We'll put it in there to have it. Even before Elkins, if I can do it. I hope I don't mess up my flight plan here. Perfect. So initially depart, we're supposed to turn towards Gainesville before we turn en route, and at least 1,500 before we start our turns. And the field elevation here, just to double check, it is 640. We're showing a good solid 640 there. Looks good. Okay, I think we're just about ready. If I can figure out where I am. Oh, that's my CRJ checklist right there. I was going to say, where's my CRJ checklist? And Tim is back and watching again. Hi, Tim. Thank you for watching. Before start check, passenger signs panel on. Landing elevation. 560 feet set. Altimeters, we got 2988 set twice. Thank you, Squibbly. FMS is checked and all is set. IRS is aligned and is showing both nav mode. Radios and nav aids, we just need 22.8. I can put up the Gainesville VOR if I really want to. I have a lot of faith in this FMS here. And takeoff briefing, that's the only thing actually I haven't done. So let's do it really quickly now. I haven't done a takeoff briefing for a while, so for any master warning or... No, sorry, let's do this. And for any emergencies prior or during taxi, we'll stop the aircraft. That's not the right one. Wow, I'm totally out of it here. This will be a left seat takeoff. Any malfunctions prior to the V1 of 193? No, 133. I'll call stop or go. Let's call is stop. I'll close thrust levers, apply max brake, disconnect. There is no auto throttle. Apply max reverse stop on the runway. Set the parking brake, PA remain seated, and call for any required memory items or Q rights checklists. If the call is go where we're at above, we want to continue to take off at 400 feet. I'll call heading mode and ask you to identify the failure. Give me a right turn direct to Gainesville. It'll be basically a 120 heading. And yeah, once established in the climb, we'll action the emergency. Let's see, the normal, there is no SID today, so we're just going to taxi out. There's no hotspots. We're going to taxi southbound on Alpha to get to runway 03 for departure. And as I said, no turns below 1,500 on the departure. If we can see the mountains and we're VMC, then we can start the turn left towards Elkin once we're airborne. And that's Basically, all I've really got today, terrain is not much of an... No, it is a bit of an issue, actually. Terrain is a bit of an issue over there, so we're definitely going to keep the runway heading until we're certain we're clearing those mountains. As long as we have 2 engine performance, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Weather, a few clouds, but otherwise it's a pretty nice day. Operational, I don't have any MELs on this aircraft. I didn't read the NOTAMs yet, so just give me 1 second. We're just going to pull those up super quick here. NOTAMs, NOTAMs. Charlottesville, taxiway Alpha Edge lights, aerodrome airport wind cone for runway 21 light unserviceable, and taxiway Echo closed. That's about it. And any questions? No questions, all right. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, I think we're just about ready to go here. Stop pausing that. Taxiway Echo, yeah, I think we looked at that last time when we arrived in the middle of the night, and there's a taxiway down at the north end that's closed. If you look on the charts, where is it here? Sorry, pull it up here. So I imagine this right here is a closed taxiway. I imagine that is formerly taxiway Echo. That's my guess, is that that is formerly taxiway Echo, and that's what's closed. That was my best guess, because yeah, I don't even see it on the chart either, so maybe it's permanently closed and they just NOTAM'd it as well before, to make sure everyone sees it without, you know, all the charts getting updated. Anyways, it's time to get out of here, so let's do this. We can go ahead, you can go ahead and pull the ground air. You can go ahead and close the cargo compartment. And yeah, you can go ahead and pull the ground power off as well. And close the door. But I think we're just about ready to go here. Goodbye ground air, goodbye electrical power. Parking brake is set. We're going to go ahead and remove the chocks. And as I said, we're not going to do pushback, we're just going to do a turnout here. If this guy would get a little bit out of the way, we should be able to make this turn pretty easily in this aircraft. So, I think we're just about ready for engine start. Clear to start check, so personal electronic devices. Well, if I turn it off, I'm not going to be able to chat with you guys, so it's staying on. APU is on, electrics are all, let's see here, electrics are checked, takeoff data is set, and the door is closed and locked. Actually, let's just double check that all the doors are closed and locked. I didn't miss one. Yeah, all the doors are closed and locked. And so we got the beacons going on. Fuel pumps are on. Quantity is 11.7 tons. And hydraulic pumps are auto on. Parking brake is staying on for the start, and the transponder is going on. And the clear to start checklist is complete. I got no ground guys, so clear on 1 guys. Actually, sorry, clear on 2. Starting 2. Alright, we got N2 rotation. Well, it's just getting started. I'm really quickly going to pull this up, make sure that's in the right place. It is. Waiting for that good old 20%. Fuel is on. And 1's increasing. Oil pressure has increased. It's true that ITT doesn't kick in until a weird point here, about 35%. There's the ITT. There's 50%, looking good.
Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention as we display the safety features and procedures of the aircraft in case of an emergency.
Alright, looks like a stable start on 2. Starting engine 1.
In case of a drop in cabin pressure, breathing masks will drop from the ceiling and should be placed over your head. If there is smoke in the cabin during the evacuation of the
Alright,
aircraft,
N2 rotation, oil pressure starting to increase. We do have N1 rotation.
In case of an extreme emergency landing, you'll be instructed to get into the brace position, which is executed by placing your head between your knees with your hands over your head. We would also like to remind you that you should turn off all electronic devices.
Alright, we have fuel flow. Yeah, it's true, we should get light off right about now, within about 8 seconds. And it should probably come before we get that surge in engine speed. But there is light off. N1's increasing, oil pressure still increasing. I just noticed that taxiway echo that was there last time. That's why. That's the only reason I know. I just looked at it and was like, you're right. There is no echo. And I saw this closed taxiway, so it seemed to all add up. All right. Looks like we got a normal start on 1 as well. All right. So we can go ahead and shut down the APU. Probes on. Thrust reversers armed. Set the flap. And nose wheel steering. And hopefully I haven't forgotten anything because it's been a while. It's been 3 weeks. Oh my god. I thought it was 2 weeks. I didn't realize it was 3 weeks since we've flown. Whew. Where did that time in June go? I was busy. After start check. Generators are auto. Electrics. Checked. Bleed valves are auto. Packs are on. APU is off, and if the speed is down to 0, we can go ahead and power the system off, which will close the door. Anti-ice is off, and nose wheel steering is armed. After start checklist is complete. Wow, I did remember everything. Hey, what do you know? Ow. Just shifting in the wrong way gets my back sore right now. I don't know what I did to my back. Getting old. Need a little bit more power than that to keep going here. Through the turn. Watch out, buddy! Watch out! There's an airplane coming towards you. No! Look out! Splat. Oh Lord. That's it. That's the end of our flight. I'm now being sued by the airport authority and the ramp handler's family. Oh, now he's gonna walk into the wing. Buddy, no! No! You're doing a bad job. He's walking just under the airplane. Oh god. Now the thing about this is I really should have tried to get enough speed, because once the engine's facing the terminal, you want to get it back to idle. You don't want to be blasting the terminal with like 40%, 50% power. But Charlottesville traffic, SkyWest 3110 is at the terminal, taxiing for departure runway 03. See, and this is just a default airport, and I mean, it's not, like, obviously it's just made up of a bunch of default structures and default textures, but I still like it. I still think it kind of captures the flavor of the real-world airport, mind you. It'd be nicer without the taxiway lights in the middle of the taxiway, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
For a northwest departure, Charlottesville traffic don't.
Alright, so that should have triggered my pilot's light to start tracking. It did not. Oh, and why did it not start tracking? Because I'm an idiot, because I didn't run FSU IPC. Wow, how long since I've done this? Honest to God. It's been a while, I guess. Have a nice flight. There we go, now it's tracking me. It's been a while since I did this. And I didn't actually look, but I'm going to assume that Atlanta Center does not cover us here. Let's see here if I can find my live map. I'm just looking at the other screen at Sim Toolkit Pro here. Atlanta Center. Show me Atlanta Center. It doesn't even show me Atlanta Center for some reason. Give me 1 second. I've got my VATSIM up on my other computer right behind me here. I'm pretty 99% sure that we are not in. No, we are way close to Washington. Okay, yeah, we are way outside of Atlanta airspace. Okay, just checking. I didn't want to be that kind of jerk that takes off in another controller's airspace. What kind of a controller would I be at that point? Taxi check. Slat flap. We've got 8 set. Flight controls. Oh, we never did the flight control check before I started moving. Again, rookie mistake. Alright, so just looking over there. Elevators. Ailerons. And then the fun one. And normally you could actually do this. You could, if you wanted to be do it on the go, you could turn off the switch. And the nose wheel should not move when you move the rudder. The rudder will still move, but the nose wheel should not move. That being said, the switch is just a dummy switch. It doesn't actually do anything. Actually, what it does control is the animation. It's kind of funny. I noticed this. If I turn off the nose wheel steering switch, and I move the rudder, the airplane slides side to side, but the nose wheel doesn't actually move. So this is the nose wheel animation switch now. Okay. Where was I here? Alright, so flight controls are checked. Trims, we've got green 7.2 units. Thrust reversers are armed. Flight instruments are checked. Brake temps are checked. Taxi check is complete.
Charlottesville traffic, Delta 222, 1500 feet, clear runway 3.
I never turned the taxi light on. Oh my gosh, I'm so out of practice with this. It has been 3 weeks, I guess, so it has been a while. Unfortunately, summer's probably going to be a little bit like that. I am probably going to be rather intermittent in the flying, just because I've got so much else going on. But certainly come September anyways, we'll have more regular streaming, I hope. Be going back to work very soon too, so it'll be a little bit more of a challenge to find the times that I need, but we'll see what we can do. Alright, cabin crew seats for departure. Charlottesville traffic, SkyWest 3110 is taking position runway 03 for departure northwestbound. I never did set a top altitude. 10,000 works for me. Not having a SID, it's weird not having a SID. Alright, looking good both sides, so let's go ahead and get the strobe on. Let's get the manual crossfeed open. And let's do the before takeoff checklist. Let's just get this thing sort of going here. Lights and strobes, just the landing lights to go. Fuel cross-flow is manual. Flight attendants are advised. Transponder is on. Radar and terrain are set, and CAS is checked. Before takeoff checklist is complete. Lights. Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this. Charlottesville traffic, SkyWest 3110 is rolling, runway 03. $80 knots. V1. Rotate. Positive rate, gear up. There's 1500, and there's 1600. So let's do speed, autopilot engage, we'll turn up the speed. And we'll go ahead and engage heading mode. We should have gotten at 400 feet. I never did set the heading. I'm an idiot. Wow. Wow, I am out of practice with this airplane. Alright, flaps 1. And flaps up. And I'd say we're doing pretty good. We got about 4,000 here. 3,600, with 4,000 we'll go direct to Elkins. There's 4,000. Direct to Elkins. Execute. And LNAV. And there we go. Beautiful departure. What a beautiful day. Alright, we can go ahead and get the speed up to 250. Looks like we have cleared all those mountains. Speed 250. And disarm the thrust reversers. I feel like I'm forgetting one thing, but anyways, we're going to run the checklist. It should remind me. Climb check. Fuel crossflow, that's what I forgot. I knew I always forget something. Fuel crossflow is normal. Bleeds and APU are all normal. Thrust reversers are off, and CAS is checked. The climb check is complete. Charlottesville traffic, SkyWest 3110 is airborne off runway 03 in the left turn out towards Chicago. Alright, and we can go ahead and wind our altitude up there. There's our heading. Let's wind our altitude up to, what did I say, 36 I think was the cruise altitude. Whoa. There we go, 36,000. Alright, and that was the airport right there, Charlottesville in Virginia. Just sort of caught in the foothills of the Appalachians there. What a beautiful morning for flying. People can look down there. Report clear. I've always wondered about that report clear thing. There's 10,000. So lights off, looks good for the seat belts. And let's see here, the pressurization system, cabin rates climbing at 1,000, cabin altitude's 1,300. Yeah, it looks pretty normal. And we'll take some pressure off the cabin by increasing airspeed and decreasing climb rate. Gonna go to 290 for the climb, and here we go. Alright, so I didn't flub that departure too badly, but yeah, I am 3 weeks out of practice. I don't think I've touched the CRJ since we did the last stream, which was, I can't believe it was 3 weeks ago. I thought it was 2 weeks ago, but yeah, I did that double ATC stream 2 weeks ago. Last week I was basically out of town, so I was unable to do anything, so yeah. But there we go. We're underway on another leg of a pilot's life here. It's about an hour and a half to Chicago, so we'll have a little bit of time to chat about a few things. One thing that is kind of coming up, and I'm pretty excited about, is that this year will be VATSIM's 20th anniversary. I can't believe 20 years. I've been a member of it since it was, I guess, 9 years old. I've been a member for 11 years now, but this will be the 20th anniversary of VATSIM, and still going strong after 20 years, with obviously new technology now coming down the line to make it a little bit more fun. But yeah, 20 years. I can't believe it's been 20 years already. I mean, it's a good thing. It really is a good thing. I mean, it's amazing how well it's done. It really filled a niche that needed to be filled, I guess. People really wanted that sim, so yeah, 20 years of this July. And one thing that is being done, here comes transition, give me 1 second. Standard, cross-checked and passing 188. One thing that is being done to promote VATSIM's 20th anniversary is that in Vancouver, there is going to be an air show, an online VATSIM air show next weekend on July 10th. I forget the exact times. I think the air show is from like 17 to 2000 Zulu or something like that. It's a fly-in online air show in Abbotsford, BC. So grab your favorite airplane, and before the show starts, you can fly to Abbotsford, BC, land before the show starts, and there's going to be a huge parking zone on the grass in the middle of the airport, and where you can basically park your airplane, and then you can watch as some of the special operations organizations pull some maneuvers online on the VATSIM network. So you can watch them from your airplane. There'll also be a live stream going on as well, but you can pull up in your airplane and watch it from your airplane, and then when it's all done, you can fly out again. So yeah, I think that's a super neat concept. There's usually rules about no loitering in the VATSIM network. We talked to the Board of Governors, and they're fine with it. This is obviously there for a reason, to try and entertain people, and it's being done as a little bit of a celebration as well of the 20th anniversary of VATSIM. So yeah, come on down to Abbotsford on July 10th. Please plan on being there a little bit early. We expect there's going to be a decent crowd, and it might be tough to get everybody in before the air show starts. And unfortunately, if the air show, I forget what time, I think the air show starts at 1800, I think, or 1700. I honestly can't remember. I'd have to go look it up. But the time that the air show actually starts, like, they're going to cut off arrivals into Abbotsford because they're going to block off all the airspace that they need for the air show. So if you're not there on the ground, you could spawn on the ground technically. Please don't spawn on the runways. Please try not to spawn on the apron. Taxi to the grass in the middle of the airport and then connect to the network there. But it's a neat concept. I really like it. It's kind of a really neat concept, something I haven't really seen done before. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's partly to celebrate 20 years on VATSIM. So a lot of these organizations have been kind of quiet lately. A lot of these military organizations on VATSIM have been quiet lately. I haven't seen them around very much, but I'm hoping that they're going to have a little bit of a renaissance now here on the 20th anniversary. Certain things have just sort of settled into a routine, and the IFR operation has settled into a real routine here on VATSIM. So it'd be nice to see something a little different. There, that's my shameless plug. She slowly climbs upwards, and I don't know how far ahead of us you are, Squibbly, but I assume you're not too far ahead. I see you on my Sim Toolkit Pro here. This is you, I believe, Delta 220, yeah, Delta 222, and this is me right behind you, and this is VATSIM's. This is my live data. This is VATSIM's data. So there's about a 1 or 2 minute lag here. So you're probably actually a decent amount ahead of me, but hopefully I'll catch up to you a little bit here. Regardless, it's nice to go flying. It's nice to go flying. Just check out and see if any other ATC is online between us and Chicago. Unfortunately not. Does not look like we got any ATC happening between us and Chicago today, unfortunately. What can you do? Sometimes that's just the way it is. Down to about 10 tons of fuel. Yeah, one thing I am looking forward to, an FS2 crew in this airplane. FS2 crew will really great help, especially in that post-takeoff environment. That is really the highest workload, the most disorganized sometimes. Not disorganized, but there's just so much to do, and it all has to be done relatively quickly, and the airplane climbs like crazy. Like, it's a fairly overpowered airplane. It climbs really well for the initial part. When it gets to high altitude, it really kind of dogs it out, but at the low altitudes, it's a very, very overpowered airplane. It climbs extremely well, which means, of course, you don't bust through, but you get through that acceleration altitude really quick, and before you even know it, before you even start to get turned on course, before you even start to get turned on course, you know, you're trying to retract the flaps, you're trying to put in some acceleration, you're trying to put in speed mode, put the autopilot on. So much stuff going on in that 2 minutes after takeoff. It would be nice to have FS2 crew. So that being said, there is some pretty exciting news from FS2 crew. Unfortunately, it is not what we're looking for. It is not the fact that there is a it's not the fact that there is a FS2 crew coming to the CRJ. However, there is a new product here from FS2 crew, A320, so the A3NX fly-by-wire project is coming very soon. You'll see they actually have it here on this door page. So here's the normal A320. This is the built-in Microsoft Flight Simulator A320. This is the A3NX project. So the A3NX project now has a separate separate FS2 Crew product. It's not been released yet, as you can see by the €100,000 price tag. But here is the real crux of it here. Interface options, voice control. They are going to be using voice control in Microsoft Flight Simulator for the first time. Well, not really the first time, I guess Pushback Express, but in terms of an FS2 Crew product. The default A320 does not support the voice control, I don't believe. If they do, I didn't even know it. This is a button control product, only it's not, yeah, okay, so. And that really is, to me, is the heart of FS2 Crew, is the voice control, the voice activation. I really feel like that's the heart of FS2 Crew. The button control is okay because the guy still talks back to you, but there is nothing quite as immersive as talking to the guy and having him do stuff because you tell him to, not because you click a button, not because you reach with your mouse and you click a button. But I could literally just be sitting here with my hands on the control and I can say gear down, and he puts the gear down. I can say flaps 1, puts the flaps to 1, put plate flat, like set speed 2209, like anything you tell him, he'll do for you. Within very basic limitations, obviously, of what the software can do, but it's just that a level of interactivity is what really makes FS2 Crew's products. I hate to say it, but I probably will never really get much use out of that default A320 product just because it's button control, and I don't like the button control. And it's not that I don't like what FS2 Crew is trying to do, but for me, the value of FS2 Crew is the immersion, and you get the immersion from the two-way conversation. I know it's not a conversation, but it's incredibly realistic. When you have a conversation with a fellow crew member in an airplane, 95% of the time, it's standard phraseology. You will say, flaps 1, flaps 8. You will say, gear down. You won't say, hey, throw the wheels down. And he has to understand what you mean by that. You will say very specific scripted SOP commands, so it really works well. For creating that level of immersion. I really like it. Wow, she's really dogging it here now. Let's get the speed back a little bit here. Let's go back to Mach 7.4. That'll get it up that last little bit. Have I looked at the self-loading cargo add-on? I have not, actually. Self-loading cargo, huh? Now you're going to make me look. Real-time simulation of passengers and cabin crew for X-Plane P3D, FSX, and FS2004. Now, and I'm assuming because you're talking about it that it also works in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because I'm pretty sure that's all you guys are flying nowadays. Flight reporting, flight management. I have not actually looked at it. What are we doing? We're supposed to be doing Mach 0.77 in cruise. So let's see. This is going to get us. We're only going to be grounding. Yeah, we're only going to be grounding about 410 knots maybe here. We're not going all that fast today. We got a decent wind in front of us here. Hold on. There you go. Yeah, it's not terrible, but yeah, I've never looked at the self-loading cargo, but you guys are. Manage ill, disruptive, and vulnerable passengers. Get graded on how well you fly. 65, over 40 in flight conditions and events monitored. Yeah, you know, it's something that might be worthwhile. But switches simulator parameters, works with all major simulators. Requires FSU IPC. So yeah, as long as you need FSU IPC, then it should work with Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. That'll standardize that interface. Accurate cabin layouts, easy to understand. I have to say I've never really used it. Warning, seatbelts on in cruise. Unhappy pitch rate, unhappy taxi speed. Thirsty, hungry, bored. Do I have to start the in-flight movie myself? That's what I have cabin crew for. Negative effects. Unhappy, toilets open but seatbelts on. Toilet's not available. No movie was played. No drinks were served. No alcohol was served. Well, I would be unhappy about that. You know, it's something I might look at. I'll have to, Community's created sound packs for many different airlines. That would be, yeah, I mean, that might be something fun. I've been sort of, I feel like it's, yeah, like sitting in this airplane right now, it's fairly static, but like, it's funny, but like, as the pilot, I yearn for the interaction with the co-pilot. I don't yearn so much for the interaction with the cabin. We do have some interaction with the cabin, but it's generally pretty limited. People don't really care what happens in the front at the end of the day. They really don't. You know what I never did? See, and this is me not remembering this airplane. I never set climb power. Jeez. All this time we were still in takeoff power. Gonna roast those engines. I'm gonna have to, I'll have to look at it. I'm not... Development roadmap, that's always useful to see where a product's going. Continuous iteration, default sound packs, additional cabin configuration, simulation tweaking. See, and I like to read like change logs and see what has been sort of updated, what were the problems that have been fixed. Emergency procedures and ratings, medical issue scenarios and ratings. So it's still technically in early access, I guess. So version 1.6, version 1.7 is planned, and then end of early access program scheduled. So this $12.99 is early access. Interesting. I'll have to look into it, guys. I don't know. I don't want to spend my whole time here on stream reading, but it looks like an interesting piece of software. Yeah, I have been looking for things to add a little bit more interactivity back to Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that's one thing I feel is really missing, is the interactivity. I feel like it's just me sitting in an airplane looking out the window, which is a beautiful window to look out of. Beautiful scenery out there to look at. But yeah, like, I really yearn for that interaction, especially for this stream series where we're trying to really kind of simulate the airline life here. Having interactivity with your fellow crew member, really, I've always found, I think that was what really kind of made it feel like we were actually going somewhere, doing something, was interacting with them and being able to manage the airplane with them. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm going to be kind of looking for, is just, I'm looking forward to FS2 crew in the CRJ here. I think that's going to be great, but the fact that FS2 crew has basically almost able to release their first voice control product in Microsoft Flight Simulator means that they have made a lot of they've made a lot of progress. They've probably cleared a bunch of the technological hurdles now at this point, and in terms of working on the CRJ and getting the CRJ up and running, it'll be less time. I think the first product in the new sim always takes the longest, because there's all sorts of new things to learn, new rules, new software restrictions to work around, to find ways to get around. Once they kind of break down those barriers and figure out how to set it up the first time, I think the rest of it becomes a little bit easier, a little bit. And I don't know that for a fact from my personal development experience, but it makes sense once you've broken down those first barriers. The second piece of software is going to be a little bit easier to put out there. So hopefully the fact that the 3NX project is coming out soon means that the CRJ won't be that far behind. I know they were already said they were working on it, so hopefully it'll be in the next little while, because I would love to see that before I reach the end of this career, this month or so of my schedule in a pilot's life. I would love to be able to use some FS2 crew with this. I think it's a great tool. I really do, and very useful, especially this airplane. It's a handful to manage at the best of times, and especially for me being out of practice too. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I promise the next stream will go a little better once I've got a little practice. And I usually try to find time to practice during the week, but I haven't had time this week. It's been catch up on a bunch of different projects that had to get done, and unfortunately were not being completed. So I've had to play catch up a little bit this week. So I did not have time to even do like a practice leg where I just sort of jump back in the airplane and make sure I haven't forgotten things. Because it's things like the control check. Like if I haven't flown the airplane for a while, I always forget to do the flight control check before I start to taxi. I always try to do it right after the after start check, but I forget it, and if I haven't flown the airplane recently, I forget that. I can't believe I forgot to set climb power. I got the airplane accelerating, I got the flaps retracted, but I didn't set climb power. So silly things like that, but they show how out of practice you are with the aircraft. All right, let's just have a little look-see here. we're going to be there before we know it. There's Fort Wayne up there at the top of the screen. Let's see if I can just get rid of a little bit of this. Not that one. I'll get rid of the airports. Well, that definitely helps. There we go. Alright, so we're going to have to also at least set up a descent waypoint here. So let me just pull up Navigraph again here. And let's go ahead and go to the other, oops, not that button. Let's go to the other end of the flight here, Chicago. And Watson for our nav arrival. Now, do they have any altitude restrictions on here? They don't. Usually at some point, there's like an expect. But for some reason on the Chicago Stars, they do not have any expect points either. So I'm going to say we're probably going to need to... Where is Watson, Nikita? There's center way down there. I don't even know. I'm going to say maybe price at 9,000. There's usually some kind of an altitude restriction like that, and airlines that are familiar with the routing will know it, but it's annoying that they don't publish it. I don't understand. Like, they can just put it down as an expect, and then everyone will know what to expect, but if they don't put expect, then you don't know anything. You know, if you put expect, it's not mandatory, but it gives people something to plan on. So I'm going to put 9,000 at prize and let it recalculate that. And she seems to be okay. The last couple times I've flown this airplane, yeah. And it's a funny thing about Chicago is that there are no altitude restrictions on any of the arrivals, but they always give you the same restrictions every single time, pretty much. Depending on whether they're in an east or west flow, the variations will change. The one I know, I know the windy. I'm familiar with the windy arrival. Pull it up again here. I'm familiar with the windy arrival, and in general, it's going to be fire at. If you're landing west, it's fire at 9, and if you're landing east, it's usually fire at 10. But I know that just from having done it like 1,000 times, and it's almost always the same restrictions. It's let's see here. It's always Emma at flight level 320, the river at 200, and then usually fire at 9. But it's not published anywhere. This is just company knowledge from having, you know, flown it many times. It's not something that is published. And I don't understand why they can't just publish and expect. Expect is not mandatory unless ATC makes it mandatory, but at least it gives you something to plan on. But they, yeah, for some reason, and honestly, I've never been, yeah, 9,000 at prize. That's the one I used. I've never been impressed with the Chicago Department of Aviation. I think they're very poor airport managers. I really do. And I think I said that before in my last stream. They have absolutely zero control over what happens on the ramp at their airport, and they don't care. Most other airports around the world, especially, maybe not so much in America, certain parts of America, but some airports in America are pretty well regulated. Other ones are just a free-for-all. And the free-for-alls really bug me because, like, you just need a certain modicum of safety, responsibility, you know, rules to follow at the end of the day at an airport. And some of these airports, they just hand anybody that wants it, like the ability to drive around on the apron, and no control, nobody cares, nobody tries to, you know, nobody yields the right of way to aircraft, which bugs me. You know, it's not a large 50, 100-ton airliner does not stop on a dime very easily. And yet you get these little ground vehicles that are zipping down the roadways, cutting in front of other aircraft, causing them to stop suddenly. Like, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, and I've complained about being cut off by numerous vehicles in Chicago, and they just don't care. As long as the airplanes are taken off and they're collecting their fees, they don't care what happens at the airport. That's my general impression of Chicago's one of them. Atlanta's another place that strikes me as a bit of a free-for-all, and nobody who runs the actual airport seems to care too much about what actually happens and whether or not the operation is safe. As long as the airplanes keep moving, that's all they care about. Which I understand that they need to keep airplanes moving as a business, but not trumping safety. That bothers me. We can work, and we can work safely. And yeah, Chicago, they just care about working. They don't care about safety. It's not the only place though. There have been a number of places. I remember one time I was on a layover in Washington, and they were not renovating, but they were, you know, refurbishing the hotel a little bit. So they were power washing the exterior of the hotel. And I remember we were sitting there at breakfast just watching these guys set up their scaffolding to power wash the outside of the hotel. And all they did was they just literally bolted together some scaffolding, and then this guy just went monkeying up the side of the scaffolding. No safety harness, no nothing, and just started spraying. And I just thought to myself, like, in certain parts of the world that would just never fly. The occupational health and safety would have an absolute field day with this guy standing up on like 20, 25 foot tall scaffolding, holding a pressure washer hose that's probably putting out a fair amount of force and got quite a bit of recoil to it. There's no barriers around the scaffolding. He's got no safety harness on. The only thing keeping him from falling off that thing is his own 2 feet, and just blew me away. That was even allowed to happen on a construction site. Just in modern age, like most of the times, nothing ever happens until the safety protocols have been met. Anything that happens at height has got to have a safety harness. Even de-icing aircraft, these guys that are in the buckets are wearing safety harnesses in case they fall out of the bucket. But yeah, just blew me away. But I think it speaks to sort of the get the business done and safety takes a backseat kind of mentality that certain areas in America often have. It's unfortunate. Now I notice we're flying 200 feet high here, and this is something that was pointed out to me. I press B, will that fix it? No. One thing that, unfortunately, it's a bit of a problem with Microsoft Flight Simulator is the altitude tracking. If you set altimeter settings manually, the altitude tracking does not work well at all. Although that being said, I set 36,200, so that's why I leveled off at 36,200. So that wasn't the sim, that was me apparently. Yeah. I don't like to press B because it's just not... I just like to set it manually. It's somewhat more realistic, but apparently Microsoft Flight Simulator, a lot of the airplanes, if you set the altimeter setting manually without pressing B, the autopilot altitude hold does not recalibrate itself to your reset altimeter. Only by pressing B do you trigger the autopilot to recalibrate its altitude hold, which is just, to me, that's a stupid oversight, but there's all sorts of stupid oversights in there in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Sometimes I feel like the people who designed it only ever thought about using it one way, and they never really thought about people who want to use it more realistically. Alright, so we're going to start down just before we get to Fort Wayne. So I'm going to start setting up for this arrival now, just so it's done, so we're ready for it, and then we can carry on from there. Alright, let's see here. So, we're going to set our speeds there. Let's see. Let's pull up the chart, I guess, first of all. So we've already got our altitude restriction for the arrival in there. The VATSIM 4. There's no other restrictions in there. We're joining at Fort Wayne, and so let's go ahead and pull up 28 Center. Let's get all this stuff in there, and then we'll give a quick briefing here. So ILS 28 Center, and let's just check the weather as well. I know we checked it already, but we're going to check it again here. Yeah, 290 at 9, gusting 17. That's a pretty solid... Ooh, Indy Center's online. Oh, we might be in Indy Center airspace. Hold on. We are in Indy Center airspace. 1955. I didn't even notice when they came online, but I just happened to glance at my V-Pilot, and there they are. So, 119.55. Indy Center's online. Hey, we got some ATC. Nice.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you for checking in. You're pretty close to the border. You can just monitor my frequency or change over to advisory. And thanks for checking in. Have a good day.
Wow, this guy's super quiet. Indy Center, good morning, SkyWest 3110, flight level 360.
SkyWest 3110, Indy Center, good morning, squawk 6604.
6604 coming up, SkyWest 3110. There you go, 6604 set.
SkyWest 3110, you radar contact 40 miles south and east of Appleton, be warp level 360.
SkyWest 3110, check. Alright, we got some ATC. Not much to do in cruise, but anyways, we got some. Alright, back to the ILS to 28th Center. 108.95, 273. So let's get 108.95 in there. Both sides. 108.95. And 108.95. And then we need 273. I've got no immediate turns coming up, so we can go to heading mode temporarily. Loc 1, so we need 273 on the inbound course here. One, two, three. There we go, that's set. Oops. Back into nav mode with you. And then, see if I can do this here. No, the easiest way to do this is just going to be to pop. No, not that one. That one. So this is number 2 side, so we can go ahead and set you to loc number 2, and then change your inbound course to 273. It's 275, so 274, 273. There we go. Alright, the inbound course is set. Minimums for this are... We're just going to do Cat 1, 851, and it's VMC, so I'm not expecting we're going to need that badly, but here we are. So 851 becomes 860, always round up. With these ones that can only go in 10-foot intervals, you always round up to the next 10 feet. You'd always rather be a little bit high on an approach and do a missed approach than be too low and not be starting your go-around at a suitable altitude. So you'd always rather err on the side of safety, so always round it up. So 860 is the MDA, and I think we're all set then for an approach briefing. Are you ready for the approach briefing? Well, yes I am, okay. Is it strange when I talk to myself? Alright, let's see here. So the arrival today, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here. We're going to pull this over here like this. And then I can pull out my chart to go through this.
Roger, the Indianapolis altimeter 3006, runway 23 left, taxi via Kilo Romeo Charlie.
Alright, so the arrival here is the Watson 4 RNAV arrival, page 20-2 Mike, effective the 5th of November 2020. Notes, radars required DDI or GPS required RNAV 1. We've got all those. Expect routing, well we don't have radar because we don't have ATC, but if we had ATC we'd have it. Expect rerouting on the VEEC RNAV star at ESPO RNAV star due to airport demand or configuration. Not expecting too much demand right now on VATSIM. Landing east, expect radar vectors, BONT transition, ATC assigned only. Alright, we are joining the arrival at Fort Wayne, so there's Fort Wayne at the bottom of the FMS. After Fort Wayne we go to Pronk, Dafe, Watson, Haupo, Makita. Prize is where I put my 9,000 restriction. Hulls, Style, Dweeb, CNAC. And then after CNAC we take a 270 heading. Most likely we're going to get, we'll probably just put ourselves almost direct to Vogler after that, for an ILS to runway 28 center. So ILS runway 28 center, 21-16 is the plate, effective the 5th of November of 2020. Loc IVZE 108.95. Sorry, just bear with me a second here while I verify 108.95. Yes, and we did set 273 the inbound course twice. The glide slope check height at STKP is 2300. There it is down there at the bottom of the FMS. And as I said, the ILS Cat 1 minimums are 851, so we did set 860. The touchdown zone is at 651. The airport elevation is 680, so I've got to actually adjust that airport elevation. I'll do that in a minute. I was thinking Toronto's for some reason. And 3400 is the minimum sector altitude, all sectors around the airport reference point around Chicago. The missed approach is climbed to 1100 feet, then a climbing left turn to 4000 on a heading of 215 and inbound on the DuPage VOR 82 radial to the DuPage VOR and hold. So runway 28 center, so the missed approach is straight ahead to 1100 feet, then a heading 215, intercept the 262 track inbound to DPA and hold the DPA at 4000. From Vogler, RNAV 1 GPS required, aircraft not GPS, radar required, so we are GPS equipped, we can do this procedure just directly to Vogler. Simultaneous approach authorized, VGSI, ILS glide path not coincident. VGSI is a little high with a threshold crossing height of 80 feet, not 50 feet. That's about it. The waypoints, again, here, we've got Vogler, and then we have Linda, Sinto, Cohen, Mima, Arzuko, Hazel, Seika, and then runway 28 center. 3 degree standard glide slope, Pappy's on the left of this runway, full ALSF2 lighting system, it's always on in this sim. And again, the Cat 1 minimum's 851, we just need RVR 1800, we're good there.
Bird 4479, the wind at Indianapolis, variable at 4, departure, fly heading 210, runway 23 left.
Let's see here, after landing on 28 center, after landing on 28 center, it's a convenient right turn off the runway, Papa 2 or Papa 1, and then depending on the traffic levels, we do one of two things here in Chicago. Most of the time you go eastbound on Papa all the way down to Golf and cross Golf, November, Lima over to Alpha to get to the apron because the departures happen from November 5. So if you cross at Golf, you're behind all the departures, or most of the departures anyways that don't need the full length, then you can cross safely without being a conflict with the departures. If there's not a whole lot of departures, the other option is to cross at Delta or Charlie and go Kilo Bravo to the apron. Either or, I think we'll probably just take Delta Kilo Bravo to the apron because it's usually not too busy. And we need a gate. That's one other thing we need is a gate. So pull up Flight Aware and see if there's been any flights from Charlottesville to Chicago recently. Nothing direct. Nothing direct for a while here. So I'm just going to steal one from a different flight. I'm going to say we're going to take gate Hotel 6 today. Hotel 6 is the gate. Parking gates. Hotel 6. Hotel 6 right here. So in at Alpha 15, Hotel 6 about halfway down. So that's what we're going to do for parking. And that's basically it for the charts. Terrain is not much of an issue, 3400. Most sectors around, all sectors around Chicago. Weather is, let's see here, weather is pretty VFR. I don't see too much, just a gusty wind, almost down the runway, a little bit of a right crosswind, but mostly down the runway. 3003 on the altimeter, I'm going to set that right now in the standby so it's ready to go. And otherwise, I think that's about it. Terrain, weather, operational, nothing's broken on the airplane, no MELs, no TAMs, always lots of no TAMs in Chicago. Let's start reading because it'll take us an hour to read them. Nothing says exciting streaming like reading no TAMs, right? Golf, Mike 2, Orchard Pad closed, Charlie 1, Charlie 2, Mike surface, Yankee edge lights, edge markings, Yankee.
4479, passing 5000, proceed Louisville VOR, India uniform.
Passing 5000, direct Louisville, 4429.
And direction indicators, 927 right center, markings obscured, fine Mike. Position 27 center, Mike, Golf 2. Trying to just see if there's anything here, 28 center, center line markings obscured. Victor 4, close to the craft, 9 centers unusable. Runways, looking for 28 center. I don't see anything affecting 28 center, 28 center. Nothing affecting our arrival runway, so I think we're good. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't too bad reading the NOTAMs there. Alright. Alright, so I think that's about it. Fuel Detroit requires... Sorry, just going back to flight plan. Give me 1 second here. To go to Detroit will require 32 and 14. That's about 46. Right now we got 8.3 in the tanks. We're showing, for whatever accuracy this has, 6,200 in Chicago. So I think we'll be okay. We got about an extra 2,000 pounds of fuel before we have to go to Detroit. 1,500 pounds of extra fuel. So we definitely can do a go around. If anything happens, come back and try it again. Not a big deal. And that's basically it. Any questions? And Squibbly, I saw you chatting there. I just wanted to finish my briefing because I hate to interrupt a briefing. There's nothing worse than interrupting a briefing and then trying to remember where you were. So you try to get it all done in one go as best you can. All right. And just out of curiosity, am I catching up to you at all, or are we doing pretty good here? No, I think our spacing's still good. So I think you'll lead us into Chicago nicely. I think it's going to work out just fine. And who knows, maybe we'll get some ATC online anyways. Stranger things have happened, right? I mean, we got some now, so. Okay, anyways, Squibbly, you were saying 2130 to 2200 arrival into Goose Bay. I got quite a lot to do today. I will see what I can do. I might be able to swing something. I don't make any promises. I'll try. But like I said, I've got a bunch of stuff to do. We're kind of getting ready for heading out of town again for another couple of days. So yeah, we got some packing to do today, especially because I'm streaming now. That means that then I'm going to have to really pack like mad in between. So I will try. I can't make any promises, but I will see if I can help you out with some ATC. I promise I will think of you. I don't know if I'll deliver anything, but I will think of you. I will try. I'll try to see if I can get online, because if you've got, you said 15 to 20 guys going, a group of 15 people, like that's, yeah, going into an airport like Goose Bay, it's a little challenging. I can tell you as a controller, normal spacing for aircraft going to the same destination is 10 miles in trail. So if you guys can space yourself out to be 10 miles in trail in cruise, that'll usually work out to a couple of minutes of spacing between. That might be enough room to get everybody into Goose Bay. I believe Goose Bay's got a control tower. I honestly don't know. I haven't been to Goose Bay. But I feel like it does have a control tower. Yeah, it does have a tower, so you can be a little tighter even. If it was uncontrolled, then it becomes a little bit more of a nightmare because you can only have one person on the approach at a time. But with a control tower, you can have multiple people on approach, so then it's not such a big deal.
Bird 4618, clear to Pensacola Airport, Bluegrass 4, departure, Turf 1, transition as filed. Climb maintain 6000. Expect level 340, 10 minutes after. Departure is with me on the street. Squawk 66.
Indy Center is online.
Bird 2, Pensacola Airport, Bluegrass 4.
Alright, so we're getting there already. Looks like our top of descent point is in about 70 miles already, so this is not a long flight. Anything else interesting to talk about? Anything you guys want to talk about at all?
20 left for departure. Push and start your discretion. Advise ready taxi.
20 left and we're ready for taxi.
One thing that did come up, and I kind of rant on about it a little bit, something that bugs me about the industry as a whole, is the sick day policies at some airlines are certainly a little bit less than generous. I have a hard time with it, only because I've never been one to abuse sick days. I take like 1 or 2 days off a year, maybe because I'm sick. Maybe a few more than that nowadays as I get a little older. But I've never been someone who ever came close to maxing out sick days in a year. I know some people do, but in the aviation industry, it's a bit of a challenge. And some companies really don't have a whole lot of sick days for flight crew. Some companies will have as few as 8 or 10 days a year, which sounds like a lot, but the trouble with airlines especially is that with the way they schedule stuff, you know, you go out you work like 3 days in a row. If you have to book off sick for that whole 3 days, you've lost 3 sick days. That's a third, you know, of your sick days for the year right there, gone in one foul swoop. it's easy to run out of sick days if you happen to have like a heavy workload week. Like if you get the flu, you had maybe 2 back-to-back 3-day pairings, so you were supposed to work 6 days in a row, and you had the flu, and you took off, 4 or 5 of those, or even all 6 of those days, and then you had a couple more days to recover after that. That's most of your sick days for the year gone in one illness. And I'm not someone who is advocating for an infinite number of sick days, but I think it's the trouble is, like, as a pilot, you should never go to work if you're not feeling like you're going to be able to do the job safely and successfully. And the number of sick days in your sick bank should never enter into the equation. But the fact is that guys count those sick days. They count the number of sick days they have left because, personally, I'm always kind of looking at it and I'm always questioning, like, how much more time do I have left in the year? What are the odds that I'm going to potentially possibly get sick and need a bunch of those sick days? I tend not to use them for very minor things. So it just got me thinking about it today because I had this, I had this sore back. I don't know if I could actually go to work. If I was supposed to fly today, I probably would not have gone to work because it's not terrible, but it's bad enough that, like, reaching in certain directions is it's quite painful. Other directions it's fine. Sitting here is kind of okay, but reaching in certain directions is very painful, so I probably would not go to work today. And I would burn a sick day just because of that. Hopefully it'd be better tomorrow and I can go to work tomorrow, but yeah, at certain airlines I've worked at where they had very few sick days, you sit there and before you decide to phone in and say I can't go to work, you look at your sick bank and you say, how many days do I have left? How sick am I? And that should never there should never be a relative sickness of the whether or not you book off should not be affected by how many days are left in your sick bank. Your sick bank should be big enough that you never have to think about, do I need to save these sick days for later for something potentially worse than this? That should never be something that enters into your thought process as a pilot, but I guarantee you 90% of pilots do that when they're if you're obviously, like, fever of like 39 degrees and you're stuck in bed and you can't even get out, or you have like a stomach bug and can't stay out of the bathroom for more than 5 minutes. Obviously, you're not going to work. But it's those iffy ones where it's like, well, I have a little bit of a runny nose, I have a little bit of a cold, but otherwise I feel fine. I'm going to go to work. I'm just going to power on through it because you're going to save those sick days. If you don't have a whole lot of sick days, you're going to save them for when you really kind of feel really sick. You may not be 100% when you go to work, but you feel obligated to go because you don't have too many days. It really bugs me. So other airlines have very generous sick day policies where they just, the number of sick days you have available in a year is so great that you don't even count them. If you don't feel well, you just simply call up and say, I'm not feeling like I can give 100% at work today. I'm not going to work today. And it's not that you don't want to go to work. It's that you have to as a pilot, you have to.
Iowa 3110, leave on airspace to the north. Chicago is offline. Radar services terminated. Frequency change advisory. Approved. We'll catch you later.
Thank you very much for the service, SkyWest 3110. Over to the advisory. Have a good day. I guess tomorrow's the 4th of July for the Americans, isn't it?
Radar contact. Report on the 2 pass.
2.6, 46.
All right. But yeah, so that's I think I'm not a person who's ever abused sick days. I look upon them as something that's good to have because it reinforces the idea of not going to work sick. It's not something where I say, well, I have 20 sick days of the year and I have 20 work days left in the year. I'm not going to work for the rest of the year. I've never gotten that mentality. You're paid to go do a job. The sick days are there for you to use if you need them, if you're not feeling well, but you don't. I've never been one to abuse them. Yeah, I can have all the sick days I want unpaid. Yeah, well, but that's the thing, is if I'm not getting paid for a sick day, then I have to question, how much is it worth to me to go to work versus staying home sick? At the end of the day, money's not everything, but money is important in our society. It makes things function, especially when you have a family to look after, you have a home to make sure is paid for, and utilities and other obligations, whatever else, bills that have to be paid. The idea of not going to work for a week and not getting paid for a week that's a challenge, and you don't want pilots showing up for work sick. At the end of the day, it bugs me. It really bugs me. You don't want to encourage pilots to show up to work sick, but a lot of companies, their sick day policies really do encourage people. And like I said, if you have a very small number of sick days, if you have to look at your sick bank before you decide whether or not you're feeling well enough to go to work, then the sick bank is not working properly. How many days in your sick bank you have left should never affect that decision. It should just simply be a question of, am I able to go to work and function safely and do my job today? And if the answer is no, I don't go to work. Period. And I shouldn't have to question whether or not I'm going to be able to make enough money to make ends meet, whether I've run out of sick days and I'm going to be taking a pay cut just because I got a cold and I'm not well enough to go to work, or because I strained my back somehow. I don't even know how I did it, but I did something yesterday, obviously. I lifted something the wrong way and strained my back. It bugs me. It's another problem with this industry. The fatigue problem is sort of starting to be solved. It's not solved, but it's getting better, but a lot of companies still have a bad attitude towards sick days. Anyways, we're just about getting ready to start down here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set 9,000 on here. Nope, that was too far. There we go, that's 9,000. There we go. Well, again, I'd rather be sick too, absolutely, but I wouldn't go. I probably would not have gone. I would not have gone to work with my back feeling the way it was this morning. I would have called in sick for sure. But it shouldn't be. It got me back to thinking about the number of times I went to work when maybe I shouldn't have, because I looked at it and I said, well, I'm not sure I have enough days in the sick bank left to cover it. And it should never even. The number of days in the sick bank should never affect whether or not I'm well enough to go to work. I'm either well enough to go to work or I'm not, regardless of how many sick days I have. But if you don't have very many sick days in the sick bank to begin with, it's something that's going to affect every pilot. They're gonna at least make it's certainly going to factor into their decision of whether or not to go to work. Yeah, I'm not having back spasms. It's just like reaching in a certain direction. I can't really do that with the track IR on, but like just reaching. It's not okay. This way, I can't really turn this way too far. I can turn this way okay, but I can't reach more than about. Yeah, that's about as far as I can reach. Even just sort of getting up and getting out of this chair again, it's going to be, I'm going to have to kind of push myself out of the chair. Yeah, I strained something, I don't know. Got to just let it rest for a couple days. Anyways, that was just a rant I had because it's something I've dealt with in this business, and I've seen other people come to work when they probably shouldn't have been at work. And yeah, I'm out of sick days for the year, and I don't get paid. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm just gonna take it easy. Like I said, I got a pack, but it's mostly just like clothes and things like that, so it's not like heavy stuff to lift. I just gotta take it easy and just be careful not to strain myself in the wrong direction. That's all. I'm not trying to complain. I'm not trying to complain to you guys that, you know, but it just reaching in this direction is just a little bit painful. All right, just about top of descent here. Can we see Lake Michigan yet? Not quite. Maybe that is Lake Michigan up there. We're just headed more or less directly towards it. Yeah, that could be Lake Michigan up there. Just in the distance, in the haze off in the distance. I just couldn't believe the temperatures this last week in BC. That just blew me away when I was reading about those. We were off camping earlier this week, and I just read about them when I got back, and just day after day of lit in BC, they're blowing through the national record that has stood for like 80, 90 years, and just blew through it 3 days in a row. 46, 47, 49. Just blew me away, those kind of temperatures. I couldn't even fathom being in temperatures that hot. Our house is not particularly well insulated. It's got a decent air conditioner in it now. We bought a new one a few years ago, but I don't think we'd be able to keep up with temperatures well into the mid to high 40s. I think we'd have to like live in the pool pretty much to survive that. Even then, the pool would be too hot. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the direct intercept page on this one because it gives you a great reference point for when you should start down here. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and start down now at 2,000 feet per minute. I don't know why I can't get the VNAV marker on there, but hopefully it'll pop up. There it is. There's the VNAV marker. Nice. We just started down, and there it just popped up. Perfect. Alright. already on our way down in the descent. It's funny how much shorter these flights are compared to when we were bombing around in the WestJet 737 for 6-hour legs. I don't know if I could sit here for 6 hours again right now, especially during summer. It's so nice outside. Go spend some time outside. How far should you hold the 250 knots on the approach until the deceleration point? Chicago's one, I'll tell you this, in the real world they like you to go fast. I'll absolutely tell you that. They want you to keep 250 knots until they tell you to slow down on final. So usually, yeah. I mean, the 320 measures out the deceleration point pretty well. I would expect 250 until you're basically just about starting to intercept. Until you do your final turn to intercept final, then I would probably start slowing to about 200 to 210 at that point. So I wouldn't necessarily, yeah. 220 until 10 miles, 190 till 7. You could probably get away with that. That might be a little bit on the fast side. I would be, the key is that you want to be able to deploy your first flaps before you get to 10 miles. By about 12 miles finally, you probably want to be deploying your first flap. So that's the biggest thing that determines when to slow down. Coffee's already empty. Drank it all. So if you can do that, plan on having your first flap all the way extended and set by the time you reach 10 miles final, then you're probably going to be okay. I mean, you can let the FMC fly it, and the FMC should, in theory, have set you up with a very nice deceleration profile while keeping you going fast as long as possible. I always find I get a little nervous with the deceleration points that the FMC programs in, because it leaves no room for error. It's like it's the perfect deceleration point on the approach with no extra room to slow down a little bit early, just in case anything happens, somebody cuts you off or something like that, and then you end up sort of really struggling to slow the airplane down early. So I'd like to slow down just a little bit earlier than the deceleration profile that the FMS will always program for you. Oh, your coffee's sitting in the machine. Too late now. Call the flight attendant, see if they'll bring it to you. I already finished my first cup, so I have to have another one in a little bit. Once we get to the gate in Chicago, we'll go find a coffee place there. It's funny because, like, I'm not a big coffee snob. I usually don't mind a decent cup of coffee, but one thing that's funny that I've noticed, and I noticed it in the Chicago airport, but McDonald's has terrible coffee in the US, which is funny because McDonald's has some of the best fast food coffee in Canada, but in the US their coffee is garbage. I don't know what it is with Americans. They don't like good coffee. Their coffee is usually garbage coffee. I don't understand. I'm trying to understand why that is. Set speed 290 here through our descent. Yeah, it's funny because, like, you think the same company, you think McDonald's would use similar coffees in Canada and the US, but in the US their coffee is garbage. It's garbage. I don't know why. Because in Canada they have some of the better fast food coffee. It just got me thinking about it because there's a McDonald's near the gate we usually go to in Chicago. So I often end up going there to get food at the last minute if I have to. I'm not a big fan of McDonald's at all, but sometimes you gotta settle for whatever food you can get your hands on in this business. You don't have a lot of options. You take whatever's nearby. I hate microwave coffee. Yeah. Oh, really? The McCafe came from Tim Hortons distributor. Well, I don't mind Tim Hortons coffee either. It's not the best coffee in the world by any means, but for the price point and generally the convenience factor of it being everywhere, it's pretty good. See, that's probably why I like that McDonald's coffee. I used to like Tim Hortons coffee. I don't like it as much now as I used to. I used to like McDonald's. I used to drink quite a lot of Tim Hortons coffee. I don't drink it as much now, but if I have a choice between Tim Hortons and McDonald's, I'll often go to McDonald's. The only trouble with McDonald's is the lines are usually longer because people are ordering food. That's the only trouble with McDonald's. Tim Hortons tends to be a little bit better at the fast food. That being said, they've gotten so stupid with all their multiple menu offerings that sometimes they're no faster than anywhere else now. You know, like Tim Hortons really kind of hit their stride when they made good coffee and not much else, because then people just went there, they bought the coffee, and that was it. Like, they were in, they were out, they were gone. And now the drive-through is so freaking slow because everyone's ordering sandwiches. And I don't understand the sandwiches because, like, the sandwiches at Tim Hortons are terrible. Their food is just absolutely terrible. It used to be okay. Their sandwiches used to be okay like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it's gone so far downhill. Their sandwiches are terrible. They're just... I can't eat anything at Tim Hortons anymore. It all tastes like garbage now. My taste buds are loyal. Yeah, the bagels are okay, but even the bagels kept getting smaller and smaller too. But the bagels are okay, but like the sandwich offerings and like the only other thing that's kind of good there is the chili is still pretty good. But otherwise, yeah, like and their sandwiches used to be good. I used to enjoy their BLTs, but they're just garbage now. I won't eat there. I won't eat there. I'll go there and I'll get a coffee if I don't have any other choice, but I will not eat there anymore. It's so bad. It's a pity because it used to be good, and I used to be able to go there. Like used to be able to go there and get like food and a coffee in one place, but you can't. Their food is so bad. I never did the descent check, did I? Let's do this now. And actually, that's the one thing we also forgot to do, was we forgot to reset this to 680, so 560. So 580, 600, 620, 640, 660, 680. Boom. All right. So, descent check, landing elevation, 680 is now set. Fuel is checked. We got 7.3 still in the tanks, looking good. TCAS is set. Radar is not available on this aircraft. CAS is checked. Landing data is set. We already set it from there before. And the approach briefing is complete. Descent checklist is complete, and I'm actually just going to pull out. Give me 1 second here. Reach over here, get my landing cards. Let's see, what do we have for a ZFW 56.5? We're going to land with probably about 6 or 7, so probably about 63. We'll say 63,000 landing numbers. Let's see here, 64, 63. There it is. So then our VREF at 45 will be 130, just for my reference. Bing bong. There's another OTS happening today. Another practical exam. Today's the day for controller practical exams, I guess. Saturday is a good day to do it. Definitely Lake Michigan over there. Past Fort Wayne, we're doing it. We're getting there. We're doing good. We're going to be there very soon here. And then our next leg's going to be a Milwaukee turn. I don't know when we're going to do it. Like I said, next week we've got the air show. I'm going to be controlling for that, so you expect some live ATC for that. Possibly, I don't even know for sure how that's going to work out with the schedule, so I don't know if we're going to get a chance to go flying next weekend. I'm going to try. I know that the next leg we got in the pilot's light here is going to be Milwaukee and back. And from Chicago to Milwaukee is a pretty short flight. So I feel like that's going to be an out and back in 1 day kind of deal. So that's the next leg we're planning after this. I don't know exactly when we're going to do it, but I'll try to figure out something by the middle of this week. Alright, I see that altimeter flashing at me, 3003. There we go. 3003 set, cross-checked, and passing 18,100. And that checks. This area feels kind of familiar now because we used to come in here all the time with the Dash 8 on the way into Midway and just... You'd be down a lot lower though. You wouldn't be at 17,000 feet. You'd be down at like 10,000, 8,000, 6,000. Oh, I see a light down there. That might be you. Is that you, Squibbly? That must be you because I don't see too much other traffic on VATSIM right now. So I think I spotted you there for a second there. There you are. Catching you slowly here on the arrival. Yeah, that's why I'm catching you. If you already threw 10,000 feet at 250 knots, that's why I'm catching you, but that's okay. I still got a little bit of distance behind you, I think. zoomed in a little bit here. Quiet day here. I imagine there's probably a couple planes in and out of Chicago. But it's a bit of a quiet morning on VATSIM. It's kind of nice about the Saturday mornings though, is that there's not as much traffic. I did enjoy flying that F&O though. That was a lot of fun. The last stream we did where we did the F&O, that was a lot of fun because there was a lot of traffic there, and there's a lot of controllers. That was fun. In and out of Chicago with full control. That was good. I'm really looking forward to that. So I may have to check the VAT USA calendar and try and time the next stream to sort of overlay over the VAT USA calendar and see if there's going to be another Chicago event anytime soon. Or I'll just have to become friendly with some Chicago controllers and try and convince them to control whenever I'm online. Let's see here. FedEx, Rush FNO, ZFW, BVA, Mobay, Atlanta's Hometown Airline, SFO, Denver. I don't see Chicago anywhere here in the next month, unfortunately. Well, that's rather unfortunate. VAT Venture. That'll be Chicago Center. That's the 22nd of July, though. That's a while from now. I'm not going to probably wait that long. Alright, we should probably also decelerate now for 250.
Chicago traffic, Delta 222, 9,000 feet, about 50 miles from runway 28 center. We'll give you a call on final. Chicago traffic, Delta 222.
Alright, we got her at idle. We don't need it in reverse, just idle is fine, thank you. Chicago traffic, SkyWest 3110 behind Delta 222. We'll be setting up for ILS runway 28 center. It's 10 descending 9. We're a little bit fast here, but if we just back off this vertical speed here, that'll get the rest of our deceleration in there. I don't really know if 9,000 at prize was an appropriate choice or not. It bugs me. Why can't they put, like, expect on the star? It doesn't have to be anything bad. Just put an expect, and then people will know what to expect. If you don't do it, that's fine. No harm done, but at least it gives us some reasonable vertical planning, and we're not scrambling to make a restriction that's impossible to make. Alright, altitude capture. Still see you flashing up ahead there in the distance. I don't know if that's coming across on the stream at all, but pretty much dead center, just above the horizon there. There's a little flashing light. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's right there. I think it's a little harder to see on stream because the stream is the lower resolution. The stream's at 1280 and my monitor's at 1920. It's there. You're there, but you're very faint. I'll try not to run you over on final. Well, there is an event. There is an Oshkosh event happening on July 22nd. So at the very least, we'll try to stream something that day because we'll be able to take advantage of the Chicago Center being online that day. But yeah, it doesn't look like much else happening in the VAT USA calendar right now, unfortunately. Not for Chicago, anyways, anytime soon. I have to figure out where the next couple of legs are too, as well. What other centers we might want online. Northern Migration, the Great Minnesota Get-Together, but that's in like late August. That'll be good to get some Minneapolis coverage eventually. I forget what we're... Oh, I know what we're doing after Milwaukee. I believe we do Ottawa after Milwaukee, and then we do Wichita. I believe it's Ottawa and then Wichita are the 2 turns after Milwaukee. So Ottawa, I'll probably be able to sneak some Toronto coverage from somebody, or some Montreal coverage, or both. Alright, let's see, what other altitudes do we have here? So on the arrival, Vogler and Linda at 9,000, so yeah, we're basically just leveled off here, and we can just, actually what I can do is after Dweeb, we're going to put Vogler in there. We're just going to close this up because it pretty much goes across there anyway. So after Dweeb, we put in Vogler. We execute that, and then that's going to get us nicely turned around the corner there. Beautiful. Beautiful. I lost you. You're here somewhere. I know you are. Oh, there you are. I see you. Still haven't seen you on the TCAS. Oh, there you are. You're on the TCAS now. Oh, it looks like I'm catching up to you pretty quickly. So maybe I'll get the speed back to 220 here. Because you're closer than I realized. Yeah, I've got like 3 miles in trail behind you. I'm going to just start slowing down now. Didn't realize I caught up to you so badly. That's okay. You go whatever speed is comfortable for you. As the aircraft in the lead, you have the right of way. I have to adjust my speed to follow you. I can go 180. I know it says VT there is at like 223, but that's not correct. I can do, at my current weight, 63,000 pounds, I can do 180. So I'm going to slow it to 200 for now, clean. That'll put some distance between us again. Also, if you're direct Vogler, that cuts a little bit because I'm going via Dweeb. But I will try to manage my speed and keep myself safely behind you. Yeah, no, don't worry about me. You worry about flying yourself, and I will find a way to slow down behind you. That's my job. I got it about 190 now. That should give you the ability to get some spacing. You know what, I'm going to square it off a little bit more as well, just to give you some room. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Haha. Wait for it. And the Twitch bot is there if you want to put in a prediction. If anybody wants to predict the landing rate, you put exclamation mark predict space and then a negative number, how fast you think, what you think our vertical speed is going to be when we land. Good morning, Tom at GT. Welcome to the stream. We're almost there. We are just about ready to turn final here in Chicago. Mind you, it's about a 25-mile final, but we're just about ready. Alright, we are in heading mode, so I'm going to go ahead and get the localizer on there. No, it's not recognizing the localizer yet, so let's go ahead and just get this turned around to about a 300 heading here. Intercept final. Thank you, Timber. Alright, and looks like we don't have the loc yet. We're too far out to get the loc, so I am going to have to go back to FMS mode here temporarily. And as we pass Vogler, I'll engage the FMS mode. We're a long way out. We're like a 40 and 30 mile final here or something. Hold on. Do I have DME? No, I don't even have DME. Yeah, we're like a 40 mile final for 28 center. Lots of time for you to gain some distance. 151. Yeah, no, I was just estimating, but yeah, we are like 40 miles final, so it's okay. We'll get there. Put it back in nav mode here. And there we go, we just passed Vogler, perfect. It's just going to track inbound from Vogler. And what I can do is I can put my FOs Nav source to loc 2, and then I'll see when that red flag goes away, then I'll know that we can get the loc. And let's see here. So Linda at or above 9,000, then Sinto 8, Cohen 7, Meemaw 6. Okay, so yeah, we can stay at 9,000 for now. Well, you're far enough away from me that you squirreled off my TCAS. You landed at Seoul the other day finally? It took a little while, did it? It's not a short flight from Toronto over to Seoul, I'll tell you that, yeah. I'm glad you managed to get it done. It's nice to see when people can get those long hauls that they're aspiring to do done, because you're committing so much time, and then sometimes the sims are so prone to crashing. Yes, I do use Sim Toolkit Pro, absolutely. I've got the Twitch bot going right now, so if you type in predict, !predict and a negative number, you can estimate, you can put in your guess for what the landing rate's going to be. But yes, I do use Sim Toolkit Pro. I think it's a great logbook program more than anything. That's the thing I like the most about it, but it also is really kind of nice because up here at the top it's created the UI here. My overlay there is from STKP as well. So I do like STKP. I think it's a pretty well-run piece of software. Alright, I'm going to put the inbound course at 273 in there. Still no localizer yet, but again, we're still like 30 miles final, so that's fine. Just getting a little bit of speed now. But you must be far enough ahead of me because you're not showing up on my TCAS anymore. Let me know when you pass Linda, just so I can kind of keep an eye and just sort of make sure our spacing's looking good. Because I definitely caught up to you on final. I didn't mean to, but I definitely kind of caught up to you. Yeah, stuff happens. Looks like there's somebody cutting you off on final as well. You're passing Cone. Oh, okay. Wow, you really kept the speed up. Okay, good stuff. In which case I can definitely put the speed back up a little bit more. I am well behind you. You can slow down now all you want. Well, you know, and on final you can expect planes as close as 3 miles in trail. Yeah, iTraveler, I think it's just, with Sim Toolkit Pro, I think that's just part of the way they've defined the world. And when you cross that international date line, they don't have any special programming to show a direct line across the international date line, so it doesn't know that it's like a flat map, right? So when you're all the way on the western edge and then your next waypoint's on the eastern edge, it doesn't say you've gone around the world. It just says you've gone from here straight back across, which is why, yeah, like I've seen that on my Sim Toolkit Pro. There's certain flights that cross over the international date line that are incorrect anyways, put it that way. That go the long way around between the points across the international date line. So that's just the way they've implemented it. 90% of the flights will not be affected, but yeah, you'll get a few that will be affected. LRM and FS Hub.
Chicago traffic, Delta 222, ILS runway 28 center established, number 2 on a 15-mile final. Chicago traffic, Delta 222.
Alright, here comes Linda. We're going to start descending along the...
Southwest, you're 28 right? Roger, Delta 222, thanks.
Chicago traffic, Skywest 3110 is 20 miles final, runway 28 center. Just waiting to see that localizer kick in at some point, but I still don't see it on the FO side. Should kick in the next 5 miles here, I think. Still don't want to kick down the flaps. We're at 20 miles final, but we're getting there. I can see you and I can see the airport. .28 right, we're good. Perfect. Still, you don't want to get too close to him because 28 right is very close to 28 center, so you want to still keep about 3 miles behind him. Sydney to LA is correct in that. Oh, that's weird. That is weird. Then some of them are correct, some of them are not. Because you think if it's not working, you think it would be all of them not working. All right, I'm going to arm the approach mode here. Low glide slope are armed, and hopefully that should work once we actually get the localizer in. Pretty much crossing Mima. I'm going to have to set 6,000. Stepping it down a little bit at a time here while we wait for that. Alright. Let's go flaps 1. There it is, flaps 1. That's 7 descending 6. Do we have the localizer yet? No, not yet. Should kick in very shortly here now. Oh, there we go. Loc. Perfect. So we got the localizer in there. Still don't have the glide slope yet, but we got the localizer.
Chicago traffic, Delta 222 on a 5-mile final, runway 18 center. Delta 222, Chicago traffic.
Alright, just waiting to see that glide slope come in. I see you there. I gave you lots of space now. Oh, but you're back on my TCAS now. Nice. Alright, any second now. Glide slope, please. Glide slope guidance would be helpful.
Delta 995 heavies departing runway 28 right.
There's the glide slope. Just need to increase my rate of descent a little bit to catch it. About 1 knot high. Catch it in a second here. Perfect. Alright, it's working out well. That looks okay. You got about 3 or 4 miles here. Flaps 8. Really cannot catch this glide slope today for some reason. Alright, I got 28 set for Seika. Let's go ahead and go gear down. And flaps 20. This will get some drag going. Any second now, there's the glide slope capture. Nice. Kind of gain a little bit of speed just to send it onto the glide slope, but that's okay. I'm going to slow it up now. The speed back to 160. And I can set VREF on here. There should be pappies on the left on 28 center. It's normally an arrival runway, so there absolutely should be pappies on it. There's 160. Let's get power back in there again. Did I ever do... No, we don't have an approach check. We did the descent check. Got a little slow now. Alright, here comes Seika. Flaps 30. Alright. Here goes Seika 2800. Let's go flaps 45.
Chicago traffic, Delta 222, we're clear, runway 18 center on altitude.
And BREF should be 135, so we're getting there. Alright, let's just do a quick pre-landing checklist here, get those on. Oh, you know what we never did? We never put the signs on at 10,000. Alright. Before landing checklist, flight attendants advised, passenger signs are on, thrust reversers are armed, landing gear is down, and flaps 45 indicating. Landing checklist complete. Chicago O'Hare traffic, Skywest 3110 is 2 miles, final runway 28 center. Alright, we're a little slow. We're at VREF, and we should be VREF plus 5. Actually, we should probably be about VREF plus 10, given the wind gusts.
Chicago traffic, Delta 222, taxi to gate Hotel 10 via Papa, Foxtrot, and hold short 28 right, Delta 222.
500.
We're getting a little high. Kind of looking at the Pappies now, and they were not coincident. I got Pappies on the left there.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. 10.
'Alright, reverse green. Alright, are you heading all the way down to Delta Delta, I guess? In which case I'll follow you. You win nothing but bragging rights. I hope they're worth it. Notoriety in the channel, is that enough for you?
Please remain seated until the aircraft has come.
Chicago O'Hare traffic, Skywest 3110 is clear, runway 28 center, taxiing to the apron. There, that was probably the best landing I pulled off in this airplane in a while, though. Kind of floated a little bit at the last moment there. Should have pulled the power off a little bit sooner. Maybe I'll pull it off at 50 next time. I was kind of waiting for 30, but maybe this airplane wants it more at 50 than 30. If Price is Right, rules are murder. Okay, I think we got everything. Let's just do the after landing check, make sure. After landing check, APU is staying off for now. Transponder is staying on. Flaps are up. Lights and strobes are set, and probes. That's what I forgot. Probes can go off. After landing checklist is complete. All the way down to Golf to cross, and back to Hotel Concourse. What did I say? Hotel 6, I think is what I said, right? I think that's what I said. 19 knots, we can go a little faster.
Chicago traffic Delta 222 holding short runway 28 right on Foxtrot. We're looking to cross. Anyone on takeoff there?
Oh yeah.
All right, Delta 222 holding short 28 right for departure. Chicago traffic.
I guess somebody's doing the full length departure off of 28 right. We're going to follow the prototypical route, and we're going to go all the way. I don't know what happened to my charts here. Oh, they're there. Because normally we'd go all the way down to Gulf, which is where I'm going. Oh, wow, that guy is really moving.
Chicago air traffic, JetBlue 906, lining up 28 right at November 5 with Delta East cross, buddy. I will go clear with them.
Chicago traffic, SkyWest 30, 110's approaching Gulf. We're going to cross runway 28 right at Gulf. We'll be behind the JetBlue.
JetBlue 906, holding 28 right for the Delta to cross.
Feel like we're still really booking it around this corner here. This one's kind of a little bit sharp here too, so. There's the JetBlue. Nobody on the threshold. Strobe on for the crossing. And Squibbly, he's waiting for you unless you're gonna let him go first.
Delta, holding short 28 right. You gonna go, bud?
Squibbly, that's you.
Yeah, I realize I've made a mistake on Foxtrot here. I'm going to have to eat up a portion of 28 right as it doesn't extend. So you go ahead and I will taxi after you, Delta 222.
Oh, alright, JetBlue 906, depart 28 right, O'Hare 6 will be coming around to the south, and back around for Duffy.
O'Hare traffic, SkyWest 3110's clear of 28 right. Strobe back off. Now we're starting to get towards the terminal now. We can get the APU on. And this is why we cross at Gulf, so that anyone who's departing from November 5, which is the standard departure location.
To Taxi Gate Hotel 10, unfortunately we have to use a bit of runway 28 right. I apologize. So we're going to taxi Foxtrot 28 right, Echo Echo, report clear 28 right, Delta 222. Thanks for your understanding.
Well, we sneaked around to you, to the gate ahead of you. Because we're coming up on Echo Echo right here. Very right on Lima Lima. And just a little short jog around Alpha to get to the gate. That's okay. You know what? Chicago is an incredibly complicated airport. Professionals get lost here all the time. So don't feel bad at all. And like I said, this is an incredibly complicated airport. I've been here a bunch of times. I have a good understanding, a good sense of it. But if you sent me like to the south side, I've never been on 28 left. So like, if you sent me down there, I'd be lost. It's yeah, it's incredibly complicated. And this is daytime. Like you can see the signs clearly, and still it's complicated. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to come in here first time at night, trying to find your way around this absolutely maddening airport.
JetBlue 906, airborne through 2400. Turning 180.
Alright, APU is available. Nice. Perfect before we get to the gate. And then just a quick little left turn here, and then the right on Alpha 15 into the gate. And then we'll have another leg of a pilot's life done.
222, we're clear runway
Like I said, guys, if anybody's interested in picking up a Pilot's Life, if you don't already own it, it's on sale for 2 weeks at Sim Market for 30% off. It puts it at about €12. I think it's totally worth it for that price. It adds a whole ton of fun. The trying to fly a generated schedule for yourself it's a good challenge. It's a really good challenge. I think it's totally worthwhile. So if anybody's been on the fence about it, now's as good a time as any. You're probably not going to find it ever go much cheaper than that. But €12, it's really not much, and it's a fun piece of software. It really kind of gets you into the sim, gets you out of your comfort zone, gets you going to airports you might not otherwise go to. I think it's totally worth it. So
coming through 3500 just south of the field.
Anybody that is interested in it, it's on sale, Sim Market,
70
just under €12 now for the next 2 weeks.
Sounds like temperature switch. Roger, thanks.
My A cars isn't gonna like that.
Alright, nobody cutting us off on the roadway, I hope. Alright, I believe we're looking for Hotel 6, I believe we said. Or maybe it was Hotel 5, I can't remember. Hotel 6, Hotel 5, one of them. Okay, if you're not going to move, buddy, then I'm going to move. Honest to God. You're an idiot. But this is how people in Chicago drive, so it's pretty realistic. And then he just goes, well, the airplane finally got out of my way, so now I can go. It's like, do you not realize you're at an airport? If it wasn't for the airplanes, you wouldn't be here at all. You wouldn't even have a job. Alright. There's Hotel 10. I feel like it was Hotel 5 we're supposed to go to. 8,
800 for flight level
6.
350 with direct Duffy now.
5. So that's 6. This will be 5 here. No marshaller, but that's okay.
You said 6.
Oh, did I say 6? Well, now we're moving 5. I went past 6, so too bad. Oh, whatever. A gate's a gate. We're here. That's the important thing. Flight successfully completed. I should have wrote it down. I closed the flight aware page. I should have written it down when I had the chance, but alright, taxi lights off, the APU's on. CRJ is the second last line here. Let's see if I can do this just from... No, a little bit further, I think. Right about there. Let's see how that looks. Nope, that was 2 lines too soon. The wheel really is right underneath the pilot. I was wondering if it's in front, but it really is right underneath the pilot, so... That's the CRJ line right there. Alright. Parking brake is set. You know what I never did at the start either is I never did the fuel check. Fuel cross-feed check here. So, those pumps off. And we should get fuel pressure, right fuel pressure low. Very good. Other engine off. Alright. Beacon off. Seatbelts off. Nose wheel steering off. And let's get the door open, chocks in. Door open. Put those down.
The door is open. Please make your way to the exit and please make sure you have all your personal items and carry-on luggage.
Let's see if I can get this bridge to come over here. Nope, doesn't like me. Oh, that's not it. That's it. And last but not least, a shutdown checklist. Okay. Shutdown checklist. So parking brake is on. Seatbelts are off. Thrust levers are shut off. Anti-ice is off. We'll turn the windshield heat off as well because we're not going flying again. Fuel pumps are off. Beacon is off. nose wheel steering switch is off, and the transponder to stand by. And the shutdown checklist is complete. We made it. We are at the gate, and we are done. Another leg of a pilot's life. Squibbly, I see you down there, down the ramp there at Hotel 10. Welcome back to Chicago, and we are done. As you can see, so we've got 3 more turns left in this schedule for a pilot's life. So the next one, again, Milwaukee turn, followed by an Ottawa turn, followed by Wichita. So we'll definitely try and get this done as a pair of flights. The Milwaukee flight there and back in one go. It's not a long flight, so it should be no problem. Then we'll do Ottawa. That's a little bit longer. That's like a 2.5 hour flight maybe. So it might be 2 separate streams. It'll probably be 2 separate streams, but we'll see if we can wheedle some ATC out of Toronto at least for that. So we get a little bit of ATC on the way to Ottawa Macdonald Cartier, and then Wichita. And I don't even know what center Wichita falls into. Probably Kansas City, maybe Della, maybe Fort Worth. But anyways, that's another leg done in the logbook. Thank you guys so much for flying with me. Appreciate it. Thanks for following along. I apologize that it was 3 weeks since the last time. I didn't even realize. I thought it was only 2 weeks, but it was 3 weeks, so my bad on that one. But nevertheless, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, stick with me. Like I said, next week we'll definitely have an ATC stream. I'm going to see if we can schedule a flight stream in there as well for the Milwaukee turn. Make sure, if you haven't already, join the Discord so that you can see the stream schedule, so you know in advance when we're flying, when we're controlling. And otherwise, make sure you're subscribed on Twitch and YouTube as well to follow me on both of those platforms. And thanks. Tom, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you learned something. I always try to make sure I share something new and help people learn a little bit. And I will do my best for Goose Bay this afternoon. I don't know if that's going to work out. Like I said, got a bunch of stuff to kind of get done before we leave the house tomorrow, but I will do my best. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching. I had fun. I really did. I haven't done this for a while. I realized how little flying I've done for the last little while because it's been busy, but tons of fun. So I'll see you out there on VATSIM, and I will see you guys all on the channels real soon. Take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and we will see you soon.
Chicago traffic, Skywest 40.